All right, here we go. Hey, everybody. From the dogs on the floor, greetings. Welcome to Houston with a Problem, our nightly live cast. 190. We're almost at 200. That's freaking me out. Welcome aboard. We are going to talk about whatever you guys want to talk about tonight. Bed Bath & Beyond's having itself another little rocket ship, another ignition. It's doing very well. Finally taking those calls I got absolutely hosed on and bringing them up to almost to a respectable level, but not quite near where I got in. But we're waiting for Wednesday for the news. They're releasing some sort of news about the future of their business and restructuring and all that stuff. And my guess is it will have something to do with Ryan Cohen and Bye Bye Baby. And then Friday hits, and it's the T13 for all the threshold list sales, the 1.4 billion shares that traded last week before, and just so many shares on that threshold list. The FTDs I think tomorrow will get published for July. So, let's see what's going on with all of that. Until then, you get one of these. All right, and off, and the daytime one is off. No second intro. That's all I talk about right off the bat. Tomorrow is Charity Tuesday. So we're going to be doing Charity Tuesday for a charity, raising money to help the folks who are suffering the flash floods in eastern Kentucky. And it will be a daytime show. It's going to be really hot, so please bear with me. I'm going to be melting while I do the show tomorrow. It'd be like the last charity show where I just got kind of loopy and tired and heat stroked out. So please help me raise some good funds to help a bunch of folks who need it. But we'll be a daytime show tomorrow. But I'm just enjoying the lovely nighttime cool air that we're getting. But it's supposed to be hot this week again. So there we go. All right. I'm going to jump right into the chit chats. Guitar stuff. Hi, Houston. I spent some time at the beach. The Goonie ship didn't come around Haystack Rock, but the market didn't crash like I thought it would, so called a wash. Cannon Beach is beautiful. If you guys ever have a chance to go to Cannon Beach. My roommate and I were discussing about how, like, Shy Beach in Washington, way prettier than Cannon Beach. La Push, prettier than Cannon Beach. Cannon Beach is like the one everyone knows about. It's easy to get to. It's not too far from a major city, but if you want to see some rock stacks and arches and things like that, the northwestern Washington coast is plus great gold in the beaches there. A lot of great gold in the beaches. Dr. Spurgeon, the sturgeon surgeon, are there still jellyfish everywhere? I haven't been to Cannon Beach in years. I think it depends on what time of year you're there. When all the jellyfish come floating in. But jellyfish have been doing pretty darn well with the way the seas have been changing. I'm not sure why they're the ones benefiting from climate change and pollution, but they seem to be doing all right. Okay. Brandon T. Houston. Why do you keep saying Sears will probably take 6 months to complete? There's a timeline Judge discussed. There was a timeline. So they're on Ombudsman's hearing. I think the last hearing was June or July. And it was pretty much a wrap-up. Like, the judge was like, well, I'm retiring. This is where we need to get settled. They settled their lawsuit. They still have some outlying debts that they have to pay. And then from there, I think it's liquidate assets and then pay everybody off. So it just takes time to do that stuff. Okay. Jason Blackwell, Houston. If MOAS happens the way you think, I hope there's more people like me and there will be billions of dollars in the sidelines until there is systemic changes in the U.S. stock markets. I think if MOAS happens the way we think it will, which is coincides with a giant market crash and makes things much, much worse, Congress will be forced to do something about the loopholes in the securities laws. They'll be forced to do something about dark pools, payment for order flow, naked shorting, swaps, all that stuff that basically is able to like sweep things under the rug for years now. And kind of the analogy I alluded to last time, like at some point, someone's going to open that closet door and everything's going to come crashing down on them like a sitcom. Stuffing things away and hiding them and covering them with newspaper and stuff is not the solution you need for a financial system. And having so much money, so much wealth devoted to short hedge funds whose entire goal it is to destroy the companies in your nation is not good for long-term economic growth. Like, you should be supporting your national industries and commercial enterprises. You should not be financially supporting their destruction because it makes a few people really rich in the short term. So we need to philosophically change how we operate as a market, because there's too many vultures, man, and there's not enough to pick off at this point. So they all jump in on the same stock, and they all short it way too much, and then they get stuck in a squeeze play. And they go, oh my gosh, we're stuck in a squeeze play. And then look at another company and go, okay, we're going to short this company. But the thing is that 50 other hedge funds all look at that same company, so we're going to short this one. And they all short it, and then the short interest is way too big, and they get stuck in another squeeze play. And they go, okay, oh man, we're losing money like crazy. We're going to look for another squeeze play, or another short play. We're going to, this company over here, let's all just short the hell out of this one. And then 50 or 100 other hedge funds come in, they all short the shit out of it, and the short interest goes to the roof and becomes another squeeze play. They have one mind, and that is, I must short a company out of existence. The problem is that there's way too many of them. There's way too many predators and not enough prey. And they are collapsing their own ecosystem by over-hunting. There's just too many of them. And it's not healthy. You got to change it. If anyone from the Senate or Congress is watching the show, fucking change it. It's so easy to do. You just go, oh, no more naked selling. Done. Oh, no longer a problem. Jason Blackwell, I'm tired of seeing corruption in daily markets. Yeah, there's so much of it. And then they just released that short ETF. And I was reading someone's comment on Reddit earlier, and basically described it as, this is how the short hedge funds and market makers are going to push all of this liability onto the pension funds, mutual funds, etc. And they're going to get these groups to buy up these ETFs because they go, oh, some investing. What do you recommend? They're BlackRock. Well, how about this ETF? What do you recommend? They're Citadel. How about this ETF? And they're going to buy up all those ETFs, and they're going to take all that liability and put them into the ETF. So when the shit's the fan, it's going to be everyone's retirements, Social Security, and everything else is going to be eaten by it. I meant Social Security, they're in bonds. But the pension funds, it's going to be brutal. And this is their secret way, I think, of doing that. It's really insightful. I can't remember who wrote that out, but I was like, yeah, it makes sense. Grape Houston, any book recommendations similar to Andy Weir's Martian? Also is buying BBBY right now. Still a good idea, or is it too risky at this point? Also root beer versus Dr. Pepper. Root beer for me. Buckin' root beer from Jackson Hole, Wyoming. That's the best. Outside of birch beer at at Hot Dog Johnny's, which was the best birch beer I ever had. Buckin' Root Beer has the best commercial root beer I've ever had. And my nephews down in California, they live right by a Rocket Fizz. So every time I go down there and visit, we go to Rocket Fizz, I get a Buckin' Root Beer and like a dozen other root beers, and we do a blind taste test. And every single time, Buckin' won. Hands down. It's delicious. So if you need good root beer in a bottle, Buckin' is the way to go. What was the other question you asked? Book similar to Andy Weir's Martian. All his books are kind of like the same lines. They're almost written like screenplays. Artemis was pretty quick paced, interesting concepts. Like kind of builds right into it. I prefer Neil Stephenson's books to Andy Weir's. Stevenson's books, if they was to turn into anything, they have to be turned into like a 4-season television show. Reamdy came out probably 10 years ago. Really stuck with me. Like, I read that book, and I've never read a book where I felt my heart rate go up so many times while reading a book. That one really just stuck with me. And it's one of those books that I just thought about months and months and months later. But they're long, they're big, they're thick. What was this one about the moon? I can't remember what that one was called. It came out maybe 5 years ago. Someone else knows. But the way he writes is so geographical. Like, I literally read Reamdy and I had Google Earth up and I'm scrolling to all the spots he's describing in the book. I'm like, oh yeah, that's that place. That actually exists. Oh, okay, cool. I now have like a really good frame of reference of where they are in China or where they are in Hong Kong or where they like it was cool. I really appreciated it. He does a lot of research in those books and you can really see it. But they're meals, man. Definite meals. And then you're asking about getting into BBBY. I'm sticking with my calls that I have because I don't have any else money to throw at more. But I think that they're gonna go. I think a whole bunch of shares going to go in the money on Friday, and we're going to get one hell of a gamma going into Tuesday, Wednesday next week. So it's going to be a short week next week because we got Labor Day. And you know those 4-day weeks, oftentimes we have just crazy things happen because there isn't enough time for them to like get past whatever gamma is going on, and they have to quickly delta hedge for Friday, and you can just woo. Memorial Day was that way. 4th of July was that way. Martin Luther King Day, President's Day. They always seem to have problems with 4-day weeks with these meme stocks. So I'm personally betting that BBBY is going to have some really great news on Wednesday, and that's going to push a lot of buy pressure into Friday, which is going to result in a huge gamma Monday and Tuesday. Tuesday and Wednesday, which will result in a delta for that Friday. And so I think I'm going to do well with those. Meow meow. Ever hear of the movie Manos, The Hands of Fate? A movie so bad Quentin Tarantino says is pure genius. It ruined the careers of every actor in it. I've never heard of it, but is there a Mr. Science Theater about it? Because there better be. I mean, most of the movies in Mr. Science Theater are pretty damn bad, but every once in a while you get a movie and even they're like, Jesus, I can't even make a joke about this. It's so bad. Manos, The Hands of Fate. Manos, The Hands of Fate. No budget horror film from 1966. Oh wait! No, I have seen this one. There is a Mr. Science Theater about it. I think they made sequels. Holy smokes! Huh? No, I totally have seen that one. Yep, I've seen it. It's bad. Yes. Oh, you guys can't see what I'm looking at. Duh. Come on. Click. Open. There we go. All right. Manos, The Hands of Fate. There's this like the main bad guy, if I remember correctly, and there's like a weird cult follower hick dude. Wasn't it Torgo or something? Yeah, Torgo. Yep. And he doesn't make any sense why he's there. Yeah. It's bad. I so bad I actually put it in my mind that I'd seen the Mystery Science Theater version of it. Okay, where was I? Jason Blackwell. Grape asked that last question. Iggy Limon. Houston, for my house exterior, I've settled on Sherwin-Williams Tricon Black for the trim and Faro and Balls Off Black or Pitch Black for the base. Thoughts on the base color? Most metal house. Well, I mean, you're doing black for trim, right? Or the house exterior is black on black. So base color? Isn't that black? Because you're painting exterior black. And then black for the base. Thoughts on the base color? Oh, off black or pitch black? Oh, that's what I see. Do you have those two off black or pitch black for the base? I don't know the difference between those. I only wear black until they invent something darker. You should see if you can get that. What's the black that has no reflection? Like absorbs like 99.9% of its percent of all light, and it's like the blackest of blacks. Black 3.0. Super matte, yeah. Yeah, this is the stuff. Yeah, super black. Oops, wrong one. There. This stuff. It is like crazy. You can't see any shape, form. It is superbly heavy metal. Blacker than black. Yeah, so regular black, super black. That's the blackest of blacks on a BMW. That's metal. You have to put metal spikes on it after that. Blackest of black on an Apple. Yeah, so that's what you should do. That's my opinion. Anyway. Dr. Spurgeon, the Sturgeon Surgeon, Praz per Bigums, Ape is the key to MOAS by Ape. Yeah. Collect more. Yeah. Brandon T. Has anyone else here made coworkers depressed about the future of the economy? I'm a nurse at the end of my shift and decided to let everyone know about the repeat of 2008. Now everyone is sad. My bad. Well, I mean, a scout is always prepared, right? Like, you just, as long as you're prepared and you know what to expect, you can, like, you know, squirrel away your nuts and figure out, oh, maybe I should sell everything in my portfolio before it goes to nothing. Hold that cash for a few months, jump back in. Right? That's what you do. Put it into gold. Put it in something that is designed to last through these lamentations. Oh, silly Willie. All right. Sup, Houston, from JM Gill. JM Gill. What do you think? Pujols 700, currently 694. I think 33 games left. It would be awesome if he gets 700 before the end of the season, but he's not that many at bats. Where is he? Like, let's see here. Albert Pujols. Where are you, baseball reference? There we go. Yeah, 14 home runs so far, 216 at bats. That's a homer, a little bit less than once every 20 at bats. He's got maybe 75 at bats left, which would suggest 3 to 4 more home runs before the end of the season. I don't think he gets there. If he plays one more season, he could do it next year, but I don't think he gets there this season. Man, he should never have left St. Louis. Like, he'd be at 800 home runs if he just stayed in St. Louis. He really fell off a cliff when he moved to Los Angeles. He seemed to have the National League pitchers down. Like, he moved to Los Angeles Dodgers and immediately went up 100 points as on base plus slugging, moving to the Dodgers last season. So, yeah. He's doing a swan song. He's back at his hometown, and high-fiving everyone. They want him to retire with a St. Louis Cardinals hat on. I totally get it, but I don't think he can get 600. I don't think he can get 700 by the end of the season. I mean, he could go on a tear. They could be like, "You're playing every at bat, and you're just swinging for the fences." But how's St. Louis in the National League? Dog. All right, St. Louis. That's American League. I want National League. Cardinals are leading in the Central. So I don't know if they're gonna let Pujols go crazy and chance getting a wild card rather than a guaranteed playoff berth, right, bud? Yeah. So I don't think they do it. I think they use them sparingly. They try to win games, get the playoffs. Oh, wrong one. There we go. Okay. Joshua, GME, could an accidental banking error that sent Revlon $900 million be a catalyst no one saw? Like, why not? If you're having to declare bankruptcy because you can't pay your bills, and then someone accidentally pays all your bills for you, and you're like, I'm out. That'd be hilarious. Like, that's like Mr. Magoo level accidental trolling. Like, you just, the goalie accidentally kicked the ball into his own goal. That type of thing. Ran the wrong direction and scored a touchdown on yourself. That type of thing. Kumquat Smoothie, hi Houston, go Mariners. Excuse me, goodness. Houston, what are your thoughts on psilocybin microdosing for anxiety, depression? Also, as a self-proclaimed square, how do you view mushrooms and THC as medication? I think there are very viable uses for these things. My chemistry professor in college has PhD in pharmacology, so he can synthesize his own drugs, basically. He was a child of the 60s. And his quote was, 90% of lethal dose is just a really good high. And that's how he viewed like every drug across the board. But if you look at research into microdosing and the effects it can have on people, and basically as antidepressants, as controlling psychosis and neuroses, it seems pretty compelling. A lot of people who are scared all the time, you microdose them with psilocybin, all of a sudden their unfounded fears just go away. They're like, oh, I was scared of that all the time? That's weird. I'm not scared of it anymore. I'm not telling people like take 5 hits of acid and then go wander around a carnival or something. But, you know, I think there's merits. The guy that wrote... what's that book? What's that book, Big Dog? The Oil We Eat. Omnivore's Dilemma? Is that the author? Man, what's that? Michael Pollan. He did a book basically about like peyote and LSD and ayahuasca and psilocybin. Dogs. Oh, Jesus Christ. How to Change Your Mind. That's what it is. What New Science Psychedelics teaches us about consciousness, dying, addiction, depression, transcendence. Read that. It is a pretty incredible, eye-opening read about how these various chemicals can, I don't want to say change your brain chemistry, but sort of reroute it, and so that you aren't focused on the wrong thing all the time. There are certain people, they like, if it's their neuroses or a tic or whatever, like, they will focus on something that's not actually important, but their brain will obsess over it. And they do this microdosing, all of a sudden it's like, oh, I have people in my life I should care about, and not this one thing that is giving me, you know, an OCD-like symptom, a Tourette's-type symptom, a neuroses-type symptom, a depression-type symptom, or whatever. I highly recommend it. It's a very, very, very informative read. Yeah, there's another book recommendation for you folks. Dr. Spurgeon, the Sturgeon Surgeon. I'm off work this week so I can see this live, and of course I can't think of a good question for Houston. That's all right. You'll come up with one. Sad Boy Inc. is here. All right. Michael Steeds, Houston news and thoughts about BBBY for the next 2 weeks. I kind of went over that top. I expect incredible news on Wednesday, and I expect a whole bunch of shares to go in the money Friday. Gamma Tuesday and Wednesday. Delta hedging Thursday, and a whole bunch of shares going in the money the next Friday. So I think we get this wave going. And I really want these calls to pay off and not have Revlon run yet so I can dump everything into Revlon calls. That's what I want. So, there you go. Guitar Stuff, Houston, what do you say to people that the hedge funds have too much ammo? If they had too much ammo, they wouldn't be losing 50% of their value in just 2 quarters. They've been taking losses for the last 20 months. Just loss after loss after loss after loss. And liquidity is drying up, man. It's going to be really hard for them to get quick loans, to get investors dump cash to save them. And I think November we'll start seeing these guys just bloop, belly up, bloop, belly up, and we're gonna start seeing banks in stress. We're gonna start seeing mortgage brokers going bankrupt. We're gonna start seeing car companies quivering and in bad shape. I mean, let's do a big holistic look at the whole system. We have a war going on between Russia and Ukraine, the 2 largest producers of grains in the entire world. They feed half the world's population with their grains, right? Those grains, most of them are not going to get out of market, and the rest that are will probably go through black market to China, and then China will become a grain exporter. Remember, that was my crystal ball prediction. We have serious droughts, like 1,000-year droughts happening in the American Southwest, in Europe, and in China. China, the heat wave in China, 70 days long. It is the longest heat wave in recorded human history. 70 days where the high temperatures never went below 40 degrees Celsius, 104 degrees, or a cold temperature that never went below, daily low never went below 34.9 degrees, which is like 95. So these people are sitting between 94, 95 degrees and 104 degrees for 70 days straight. It just evaporated all their rivers, evaporated all their lakes. So much of China's energy comes from the dams along the river systems that come out of the Himalayas. And they're telling folks that we're going to have to shut down factories because there's no electricity. You got 1.2 billion people that are going to start having to crunch on electricity. They're not going to be able to export things. Their factories are going to be useless. We have Europe, which gets most of their energy from the Nord Stream pipeline that goes from Russia through Ukraine, Belarus, and into Germany. And energy bills are 10 times higher now than they were this time last year. We're going to have food shortages. We already have supply chain issues at the wazoo. We already have problems with microprocessors and semiconductors getting out of China and out of Taiwan and to all the various manufacturers need them for all electronic devices. Car manufacturers are shutting down production because they can't get the parts they need out of China. We've got commercial real estate collapsing. We've got housing real estate collapsing. We have Chinese real estate collapsing. And Chinese real estate is 1/3 of their entire economy, and it is done. We've got banks in China starting to fail. We have major banks that are on the precipice, like Credit Suisse and the Swiss central bank is posting losses. Like, central banks are supposed to post losses, man. On top of the fact, we have trillions of dollars of liability tied up in these short plays that are going to squeeze like crazy as soon as the market realizes, oh shit, the world's going to hell. And when their tenuous assets under management collapse, they're going to face margin calls from everybody and liquidations across the board because the banks are stuck. What are you going to do? You might as well sell off what you can and get what cash you can out of these guys, and that'll be it. Or the hedge funds are not built for this. The hedge funds are built for quick wins, move on to the next target, quick win, move on to the next target. They are not built in a protracted battle where they're losing 25% of their value every single solitary quarter for 2 years. They cannot survive that, and the rich people who fund them won't put up with it. So if we get to the end of the third quarter and all these hedge funds have posted a third loss in a row, a lot of them have trigger clauses that allow the rich folks to take their assets back and go, you don't get to manage this anymore. I'm going to go put it into a Vanguard or something. So they're going to lose all their assets and maintain all that liability, and it's going to be brutal. Just in my head, are aliens more likely to be reptilian, insect, Starship Trooper style, robotic, or classic grays? Why? Oh. Okay, this harkens back. There's these guys, Ehrlich and Ornstein, and they wrote, I can't remember if it was a book or an essay. So long ago that I read this. But they basically wrote about how creatures evolve, and they evolve for certain habitats to fulfill certain niches and so on. But humans got to the point where our brains got so complex that we no longer evolved to fit our environment. We adapted our environment to fit us. So like, we go to the North Pole, we're not going to suddenly have the urge to grow a bunch of fur and get, really round and fat with small ears to put up with the cold. We just put a jacket on and some gloves, and we go about our life that way. We go to the tropics, we don't suddenly lose all of our hair anymore, develop different kinds of sweat glands, start learning how to pant or whatever. We just got air conditioning. We didn't, when it came time to have to move heavy boulders, we figure out machinery to do it. We adapt our environment to us, and we don't adapt to our environment. That being said, if the meteor had never struck Earth 63 million years ago to wipe out the dinosaurs, it's very likely that those very large egg-laying bird lizard things would have had one of their progeny evolve into a smart, bipedal, dominant creature who's beginning to adapt the environment to them. So because that meteor came down, schwonk, and just killed off all the dinosaurs, it was the fuzzy little, little mouse or vole or whatever that eventually was able to adapt and become simian and ape-like and monkey-like and eventually sapien-like. And that's why we ended up on top. We have to thank that big meteor. Otherwise, there'd be some velociraptor doing podcasts right now, answering questions about what would have happened if a meteor had wiped us all out. Would voles become the head alien or the chief life force on Earth? And so if we look at other planetary systems, we have to assume that they're probably under the same conditions we are. The way their planetary system forms, they form out of a big gas cloud and the stars in the center, and a whole bunch of planets are in the plane of that solar system orbiting around, and there's asteroids and moons and all sorts of stuff and comets. And they probably go through the exact same extinction level events that we do on scales that are probably pretty similar, and that they, may have had some sort of thing that would come from exoskeleton crab people, and they could be, top of the food chain there. You might have a weird bipedal, a Dr. Zoidberg type thing come out the top, or you might have bird creatures, or you might have, reptilian things come up top, or it might just be a different type of, descended from lemurs and cats or something. I don't know. But the ultimate drive, evolutionary drive, is that something it will come to the top of that ladder, and that something will probably be bipedal, eyes forward, omnivorous, omnivorous, however you want to put the emphasis on the wrong syllable, and that's what we're going to have in common. Big brains, opposable thumbs, and the ability to adapt the environment to us. That's what the future should be. Okay. Where was that one? That was that. Sad boy, any updates on the TV show? No updates at the moment. No updates yet. We haven't filmed anything yet. Ooh, and Guitar Stuff has got tropical coordinates for us. Fantastic. He's always giving us stuff in the far north. Google Earth. Boom, boom. Okay, here we are. We are in an atoll. Oh, we're at Diego Garcia. We were at Diego Garcia, man. We did this one last week, or week before. Do they have any Google cars for Diego Garcia? No, it's a top secret base. They have no Google images for Diego Garcia. Maybe the town? They do for the town? Can you see what Diego Garcia is like? Nope, all top secret. Oh well. Guitar Stuff. He already gave us one we did before. Bum, bum. Nice shirt, nerd. It is a good shirt, isn't it? Nice bright colors. It looks more blue. It's actually purple. It's actually purple and looks blue on camera. So the monkey cam that I've been using, the colors aren't quite as rich as the Elgato that is currently toast right here. I need to get that replaced. Yeah. Hoshi Gaming, what's the ticker for New Labs? No Labs. KNWN, they're on the OTC, but they have applied to be listed on the New York Stock Exchange. KNWN. Not my name. Houston, what's up with Iraq? Seeing lots of combat footage and people in government buildings. Muqtada al-Sadr, who is the cleric / warlord of the Shiites, they launched some sort of attack a couple weeks ago on the green zone where the government is, and it's been fairly tenuous. It sounds like it might explode into civil war again. That's as much as I know. I think it's just kind of, they're trying to keep war from happening, but the president isn't very popular, and it's just the Sunni-Shia conflict that will never get resolved. So you got, Saudis funding the Sunnis in government, and you've got Iran funding the Shiites that are wanting to be in charge. It's just going to be, it's the result of Britain drawing all these arbitrary lines before they left. And these tribes and different peoples are all stuck inside the same country when they had their own borders in the past. Meow meow. Regarding the movie Dreamcatcher, phallic creature that entered through your butt, led by an alien that special kid calls Mr. Gay homophobic? What? What? Meow meow. I honestly, is that an ad lib you just threw in there? I don't even know. I can't even. I don't know. Diaz is here. Diaz made it. Woo! Michael Harrow, Houston Biden's speaking on Thursday in Philly. Think Trump's indictment coming soon after? Man, trying to predict when the feds are going to drop a hammer on something like this is darn near impossible. Because Merrick Garland is the type of person who is never going to let Biden know what he's doing. He is going to build a wall between those two. He's a stickler. He's going to build a wall between the Justice Department and the White House, and he's going to do his thing, and he's not going to let anyone at the White House know what he's doing. Apparently, Biden had no clue that Trump was getting raided, because they need plausible deniability so people can't complain that's politicking. I shouldn't say raided, that Trump had a warrant served on him, and they found a bunch of top secret documents, and people are looking into it. There's lots of speculation, but Trump had a bunch of documents on CIA deep cover spies and Knox, and on assets of that spy network. And deaths of CIA agents have gone through the roof since 2017. 17% of all CIA deaths happened while Trump was president. The 4 years Trump was president. 17%. And then last summer, a warning went out to all of the State Department stations, all the CIA stations everywhere, basically saying, hey, hide your assets, somebody's murdering them all. And the number of CIA agents and assets that have been murdered in the last year and a half have been astronomical. And then they found a whole bunch of the documents that might pertain to those people that were murdered at Mar-a-Lago. So people are starting to draw these lines, and if it's the case that Trump let hostile foreign agents access those files, and those files were led to the deaths of a whole bunch of people who were working clandestine operations for the United States, that's the stuff you get hung for. It's not going to federal prison and you're gonna have a cushy job. It's firing squad, gas chamber, hanging. It's bad news, man. I would not want to be tied to that stuff at all. So I'm sure that the Justice Department, they have to have people with certain security clearances be able to access that material and determine what's what and what they can tell the judge about. Because even the judge today, okay, how'd it go? So Trump's lawyers filed to have a supreme adjudicator or something get assigned to go through the files to figure out what's top secret and what isn't. And the FBI raced to go through the files themselves and then sent a letter to the judge saying, we already did it. We went through them all. You don't need to get the supreme adjudicators. They beat the Trump people by an hour. And basically the FBI said, Judge, a lot of this stuff is above your pay grade and you are not going to be allowed to have access to it. Which may mean this stuff might go to a FISA court, which are super secretive, and they can just render a verdict and that's it. Man, you don't ever want to end up in a FISA court. If you're there, shit just got real. Those operate completely clear of all other courts. There's no way to appeal. All the information is secret and goes to that particular judge, and that judge, if he reveals it, that's it. So if Trump did something so bad this ends up in a FISA court and not just a regular federal courthouse, I wouldn't want to be him. Sean Marcos, what's your thoughts about the proposed ETF short basket that includes GME and AMC? Some speculate it'd be a way for hedgies to place the bag to retail. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. If you are a member of a pension union, start talking to the heads, your representatives, and saying, do not invest in this ETF. Stay the hell away from this ETF. Don't go anywhere near it. Talk to your union members, talk to your coworkers, talk to your HR department and whoever might be in charge of these pensions. Tell them to stay the hell away. Do not invest in these short ETFs. Go long on blue chips for the future. Go on gold. Go on regular mutual funds. do not invest in those ETFs at all. Oh, Meow Meow, your assignment, watch Dreamcatcher. Butt creatures and gay leader versus dudes with powers. Thank me later. Okay. Pronto, I know baseball rules, but I don't understand the world around baseball stats. Can you explain the meaning and significance of few baseball stats? Oh, boy. Okay. All right, we'll go back to Albert Pujols. How about we do that? Since we already had him up. Come on, Pujols, where are you? There you are. All right. So, Google Earth, go away. Doink. So, the big ones, before we get to like modern baseball, the big ones are for a hitter. You have your batting average, your on-base percentage, your slugging, on-base plus slugging. Those are kind of the big ones to look at if you're a stats person. And then you look at the other things like how many home runs do they hit, how many RBIs do they have. RBIs are runs batted in. So if you hit a ball, how many people were able to score a point from that ball that was hit? To do your batting average, you basically divide your number of hits from your at-bats. So Albert Pujols in 2001 had 194 hits in 590 at-bats. So his batting average was 32.9%, or .329. So 32.9% of the time he was at the plate, he hit the ball and got a base hit. But if you go up to the home plate and the pitcher's bad and throws 4 balls and you get a walk because they weren't pitching accurately enough, that does not count as an at-bat. It's a very weird stat. It will count as your plate appearance, your PA here. So Albert Pujols went to the plate 676 times, but he only had 590 at-bats because he had, where are the base on balls here? How many base on balls? We had 6 intentional base on balls, but they don't list. Oh, 69. So he had 69. Woohoo! 69 base on balls and 7 intentional base on balls. That's when the pitcher and the catcher are like, we're not going to pitch to him because he's going to hit a home run on us. We're just going to throw 4 really bad pitches and he's going to walk to first base. Your on-base percentage is basically your walks, your base on balls, plus your hitting divided by your plate appearances. So that's his, 32.9% of the time he goes to the plate, he gets a hit. Of all the times he goes to the plate, 40% of the time he gets to go on base. He gets to get to first base or whatever. And then your slugging is what type of hit does he get? So if you have one at bat and you hit a ball and you get to first base, that's a slugging percentage of 1. If you have one at bat and you get to second base, it's a slugging percentage of 2. If you get at bat and you get to third base, slugging percentage of 3, and a home run is a slugging percentage of 4. So in all the at bats, if you're averaging 0.61, it means you're averaging almost a base hit per at bat on average. So they want to calculate how many times you get on base and how powerful are your hits when you do so. That's where your on base plus slugging is. So if you have an on base plus slugging greater than 1, you are a stud. And Albert Pujols was a stud for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years of his first 10 in the major leagues. And then it fell off quickly as he aged and played for Los Angeles. Other like highly caliber players. I mean, we'll put Barry Bonds in here because he's a total drug addict, but his stats were unreal because he was on drugs. But Barry Bonds had, okay, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oops, it reset for me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 seasons in a row, whereas on-base plus slugging was over 1,000, which is just unheard of. And about 10 of those seasons, he was just chock full of steroids. So, he was a great hitter and player for so much of that, but a lot of it was steroid-induced. I can hit the ball a lot further than I could before. And especially towards, he's in his 40s at this point, and he's still having numbers that are just astronomical that no one would have had before. Drugs do a body good, apparently. If we go to pitchers, we can look up someone like, my favorite, Jamie Moyer. Look up Jamie Moyer. The oldest player to ever get a win in Major League Baseball in his 50s. His first few years in the league, he was not that great. So pitching, the base stats you look at are your earned run percentage, your ERA. Wait, where's my... Oh, over here. ERA. And ERA of 5, not very good. This means for every 9 innings you pitch, you give up 5 runs. Not particularly good. And his first part of his career, his first 10 years of his career, ERA of 5, ERA of 4, 5, 5, a couple of good years in here. And then he came to Seattle and all turned around. All of a sudden, ERA of 3, 3, 3, 3, and that's one of 5. 3, 3, 3, another 5, another 4, 4, as he got a little bit older and got back to Philadelphia and back in the 3s again. If you can pitch and give up only about 3 runs a game, you give your team a chance to win the game because the average Major League Baseball team scores probably 5 runs a game. So if you're only giving up 3 runs and your team get 5 runs, your team's going to win. And so that's the type of thing you start to look for. Then there's the WHIP, which is also very important. This is the walks and hits per inning pitched. And you want as low as possible. You want to walk as few people as possible, and you want to give up as few hits as possible. So his best year is probably 2001. Oh, no, 2002 was his best year. He had a WHIP of 1.075. So every inning he pitched, he gave up maybe 1 hit or 1 walk an inning. I mean, this is last season, 1.1 at 50 years old. That is fucking badass, if you ask me. Holy smokes. Well, no, he did one more season before he got injured at 2012. But, like, there are Hall of Fame pitchers that have had seasons below 1, which is just absolutely gnarly. And the ones that people care about, they want to look at strikeouts, how many strikeouts they have. So you have your power pitchers like Randy Johnson and Nolan Ryan that will have 300 strikeouts in a season. That doesn't necessarily mean you're pitching well. It just means that you're all over the place sometimes, and people are either going to hit home runs off of you or they're going to strike out. And so Randy Johnson, his first 10 years of his career was terrible, just like Jamie Moyer. Randy Johnson, big 6'10", gangly Canadian. His first 10 years, he was drafted by Montreal, and he just was a wild man. He had some pretty decent numbers, put up a huge number of strikeouts, 308 strikeouts, whatever. But he didn't really become a consistent, super quality pitcher until, what is this, 95? Yeah, 95 season. 1.45 whip. His 98 section when he was in Houston. So he got traded from Seattle to Houston in the middle of the 98 season, and he just became an animal. And his whip was .984. He won his 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th Cy Youngs 4 years in a row with Arizona. And again, the whips are way down. They're below 1.1 all those years. And just an insane number of strikeouts. 347 strikeouts, 372 strikeouts in a season. Holy smokes. And the dude's throwing 97 miles an hour. It's looking like he's kind of 3/4 arm, so it looks like he's throwing at your head, and the ball just goes... Rah! And by the time it leaves his hand, it's almost at the plate because he's so tall. It's like with this camera angle right here. But you look at how many home runs did they give up, how many walks did they give up. So he had tons of walks. Like, look at these first few years in Seattle. 1990, 120 walks, 152 walks, 144 walks. Then all of a sudden, you figure out control. He's down 25 walks, 96, 26 walks in that section with Houston in 98. And again, he never had walks over 80 after 1994. So he became Cy Young caliber in the 93 season. Got Cy Young votes, Cy Young's like, you're the best pitcher in baseball that year. He just became unstoppable. The Euros right now are like, I don't care. But those are kind of the main stats you want to look at. Now, there's a thing called WAR, which is a new stat that Bill. Oh shit, what was that guy's name? He ended up being like the stats guy for the Red Sox and helped them get to the World Series, win the World Series in '04. Bill Downs was his name. He came up with this thing called WAR, which is wins above replacement. And if it's a positive number, it means if they were to replace you with an average player, your team would lose that many games. Over his career, Randy Johnson represented 100 more wins than the average player would have who replaced him. And some of the wars, there's Whip HR. Do we have war on this line or be on the next? Oh, here's a war. Okay. So Randy Johnson early on in his career had some negative wars, but by the time he gets to Arizona, he's getting 10 more wins a season than any person who would replace him. And these are the years he was absolute animal. And so if you when you look at the value of a player, you want a positive war. You want a positive war in every single solitary position on your team, because that means if you've got an average player, you would lose games if you took that person out. So you want a positive war everywhere. And that's your wins above replacement. And you can see it, like, as people get older, their war starts to go down because their playing time is less. Their skills start to go down, their finesse. And so when their wins of replacement start to get close to zero or negative, that's usually when they retire, unless they decide to hold on forever and keep trying to play until their body falls apart. But that's the big one that stat heads really look at now, is the calculation of WAR, trying to figure out, are they all-star quality, MVP quality, how many games they win a season, how many times do they have game-saving hits or whatever. It's a big, long calculation for it. Yeah, so. Yeah? Is that a good starting place? Without having to actually bring out the calculator and do all the math on that? Okay. And Daphne's here, fantastic. All the night owls are here. Got 328 night owls, or Aussies eating lunch, or Europeans who are early morning, like frying some bacon on the skillet or something. Jorge Ramirez, BBBY, new CEO announcement Wednesday. I'm sure they're going to announce a lot of things on Wednesday. I think a lot of things are going to get announced. Beto, Houston, thoughts on the dinosaur tracks found in Texas? Yeah, it's the Dinosaur Tracks National Monument or something, right? And so the river dropped because there's a huge drought going on in the southwest, and dozens of dinosaur tracks appeared in the riverbed, which I think is pretty awesome. That bedrock was not covered with cobbles and stuff, so you can see it. Let's see if we can find drought dinosaur footprints Texas. Yeah, so the layer of all these creeks are going down, water level, and dinosaur footprints are starting to show up in lots of places. Like here's a giant one. This is trying to shape traps, maybe a dinosaur. Let's say what kind of dinosaur these are. But a whole bunch of them started to appear in Foot Tracks National Park or something, National Monument. This is from last week. Dinosaur Valley State Park. That's where it's Glen Rose, Texas. I revealed dinosaur tracks pictures experts believe date back to about 113 million years ago. Tracks belong to an Aracanthosaurus and a 5-meter tall bipedal dinosaur. Dang. That's tall. A claw on each limb. Yeah. So, these are pretty cool. I mean, it's cool that, like, it's not just full of gravel and sand. They can actually see them here. That's awesome. They're petrified like that. That's cool stuff. That's, I want to know if they're going to try and cut out the footprints and put them on display somewhere, or they're just going to let the river fill back up again in the wintertime or something. I'd be curious to see what they do about that. But it looks like they're doing some excavating over here on this side, continuing the tracks. So maybe they're doing some excavating. But it's awesome. Well, it's awesome in that they see it. It's terrible in that it's taking an 1,800-year drought so that we can see them. It's like the hunger stones that keep appearing in Europe and all the rivers, or the little Buddhas that are appearing in the Chinese rivers that haven't been revealed since the last time there was an awful drought. Jorge Ramirez picked up 500 shares of Bed Bath for $9. Good for you. Way to go. Cheers. Just from Dax, who's the biggest con artist out there, and why is it Dinesh D'Souza? Oh man, Dinesh. If you guys hadn't heard, his publisher withdrew his book because it was too full of factual inaccuracies. So he made a book version of his 2000 Mules movie, and it was too riddled with factual errors. They're like, we can't distribute this book. So they told all the booksellers, like, we're recalling it and we're destroying all the copies. It was after it was revealed that some of the GPS maps they had in the documentary were actually of European cities like Moscow, and not American cities. They weren't following anybody in the U.S. with the GPS. They were following people in Eastern Europe in cities that aren't anywhere, that don't vote, and they're just making things up. So, yeah, oops. Dinesh is a con artist, that's for sure. Michael Steegs, Houston, did you see the CNBC clip where a woman talked about shorts covering and then they cut her off and like, oh, we have to go now, boop. Yeah. At least Charles Payne, he'll talk about it on his channel, and they don't cut him off. I guess they're now trying to get her to come on to his show, and they'll talk all about the short selling. But CNBC, they let what's her face? Who's the Asian lady? She was really on the AMC side for a while, and they weren't cutting her off. Does she still have a show? I can't remember her name. Lynn? What's her name? Can't remember. Lee. Yes. Not Lynn. Lee. Allison Lee? Crap. Looking at it's not showing me at all. It's just showing me like, I don't care about 2 a.m. shows. I know I'm up late, but I can't remember what her show is. Melissa Lee, that's what it is. Melissa Lee. She was talking about it quite a bit, and she wouldn't talk about GameStop as a short, but she would talk about AMC as a short constantly. Yeah. So, I wonder how much of the role of CNBC is to keep their boomer viewers from panicking. Because even now, we are deep into this stuff. We talk about it constantly. We research it. We read about it every day. We spend hours a day, like, just gobbling up whatever information we can. Most people don't do that. 99% of the population is not doing that. Other people who are in these short plays, like there's, a couple million of us who are very, very into it and read about it constantly. But I would say 75% of the people who are involved in the short play are there because of us sort of like proselytizing to them. And they're just like, oh yeah, I put some money in this thing. I took my money out of the main market and put it into these short plays because you told me to. And now I'm just going to sit here and wait for you to tell me to do something with them. And that's probably a good chunk of the investors that are in on these plays. Everyone else has no clue what's going on. And they are not curious. They just take what's fed to them and they go, okay. And they barely bother synthesizing any of that information with what is known to them because they don't know much. And so the CNBC audience probably, they're probably sitting in an airport lounge or a hospital waiting room or, probably where their viewers are, nursing home, whatever. And they're like, oh, Jim Cramer's on. He makes lots of bells and whistles go ding dong. Whoa. And they call their broker on a rotary dial phone and say, hey,
Reginald, I'm calling you up because Jim Cramer said to buy a whole bunch of tech stocks, so do that for me.
And then Reginald goes, all right, click, buy a bunch of tech stocks. There you go, old man. Your money's gone. And that's how most people do it. So we're exceptions to the rule, and we're very loud. We want people to know what's going on. We try to get them to pay attention, but not everyone's going to pay attention. They just can't be bothered. They're like, whatever. I just put my money into a mutual fund every week or every month and set it and forget it. And I'll go to my 9 to 5 and I'll hate my life. I'll take my 2 weeks of vacation to Branson and I'll come back and hate my life some more. And then I'll die of a heart attack at age 65 and my pension fund will vanish or whatever. I don't know. Justin Butler, is it possible for hedge funds to buy calls and puts to get legit shares, that way cheaper to slowly cover? Yes and no. If they don't have a lot of cash to play with, they can't exercise the calls. So they're going to be using them as like what I do, is using cash and puts to generate cash and then to purchase whatever my next play is going to be. They can buy puts and calls and they can exercise them, but the problem is that if they do it too much, they rocket the price on their liability and the price goes through the roof. So if they're exercising a whole bunch of call options, the price gets higher, and whatever's left over is a higher liability against their plays. So I don't see them necessarily exercising those things so much as selling them to get the cash and then moving on that way. I mean, they could, but remember, if a call option goes in the money on a stock that is at $50, you're paying $5,000 for that to get 100 shares. Well, you need millions. So if you're short 10 million shares at $50 a share, you're spending $500 million to do that, and they don't have $500 million in cash. They just don't. I mean, Citadel had to take out an emergency loan for $600 million because they were getting hosed when Ryan Cohen sold off all of his shares. They got absolutely just hosed, and they lost billions in calls on August 19th. They just evaporated, just like they did for me. And so, don't you think about it. I know you want to chase that cat, but you're not chasing that cat. So I don't think they've got the cash on hand to actually exercise those things. They have to sell off a bunch of their assets, which causes the rest of their assets to depreciate too much, and they're in that rock and hard place. Okay. Hey, I'm only an hour behind in the chat. Sweet. Can we talk about baseball stats? I'll eat up time. Michael Hero, what do you think about the delay of the moon rocket today? Why are they calling a stepping stone? Why are they calling a stepping stone to Mars? The Artemis mission is on. What's the name of that company? SSL, whoever made the rocket. They apparently couldn't get the third engine to cool, which, you need a cooling system because they're pumping through just tons of methane and burning like crazy. And so you need to have a cooling system to keep, the rocket engine from melting and exploding and then everyone dying. And they couldn't get the engine to cool. So they've got another window on Friday and another window a week from today to get it done. And this is going to be unmanned. So it's going to be an unmanned mission to go out around the moon and then come back. And then I think there's a manned test flight that's going to kind of do what the Apollo 8 did, where humans went out around the moon and came back. And then 2025 is when they're planning on landing someone with this Artemis mission. It's going to be, I think it's an all-female crew is going to be landing, which is pretty rad. And kind of the plotline from Space Force. Yeah, I mean, NASA has learned that if any little warning bell goes off, you scratch. You do not at all do what you did for the Challenger mission, which is the alarm bells went off and Ronald Reagan said, launch it anyway. And it launched it and exploded and traumatized every school child in America because they've been advertised as sending a school teacher into space. So every single kid, including this guy, was in their classroom watching the live launch on television and watched everyone on the mission just blow up into nothing. The teacher go, oh my God, off. Hey, let's do some coloring. Let's not talk about what just happened on TV. NASA wants to avoid that as much as possible. We do not like losing astronauts, even though it's an extremely dangerous thing, launching, going to space, one of these things. We do not want to have national television having one of those things blow up and then making it so that all of a sudden all the funding for the Artemis mission goes down and then China wins the space race for the moon. And we can't afford that. Michael McManassian got my $30 BBY call still alive. I know. I had a whole bunch of those $30 ones. I actually traded them in and got a couple of cheaper ones. I'm still wondering if I should have kept them. I don't know. But they were going to expire this Friday anyway, so I wanted to get something to roll over that was a little bit longer out. So I swapped them over with a huge loss and got something a little cheaper that's further out. Oat Milk Man, the most threatening name on the internet. Houston, I'm finally able to catch a live show again. I was wondering if you share some inspirational quotes to live by. Whew. There's a couple. One I like is, it is easy to pretend to be serious. It is impossible to pretend to be witty. And I read that one on like a tag on a tea bag, and it was like first one of the time I wrote one of those quotes. I was like, huh, that's actually making me think. Because you can't fake being witty. You just can't. And a lot of people who aren't super bright, who desperately want to be taken seriously, will always act serious, and they'll never crack a joke because they're physically and mentally incapable of doing it. And those people, stay away from them. They will ruin your life with their super serious stupidity. And you can't fake wit. You just can't. So it's easy to pretend to be serious. It's impossible to pretend to be witty. That one stuck with me. What's another one that stuck with me, Monkey? It's better to have it, not need it, than to need it and not have it. That's one, which is my pack rat mentality. What's another one, Monkey? What's another one, buddy? Come on. You know all my thoughts and fears and dreams. I'll think of something. I know there's another one bouncing around in there. On the spot. Can't remember. There's one in there that just it'll come out of me. You resetting stupid chit chat thing. Where are we? We're so far behind. Okay. Oh yeah, vent to black, as everyone's saying. This paint. Yeah, do it. Vent to black. Brandon T. Houston, what actor do you want to play you in the Moas movie that eventually gets made? People ask this. It has to be my doppelganger. It has to be techno musician Dylan Francis. He has a widow's peak, but he is my doppelganger. Otherwise, we have same face, same body. He has lots of tattoos on him. I don't have any tattoos, but we can cover those up with makeup. But seriously, he is my doppelganger. I first found out about him maybe 2 years ago. My friend sent me. He's like, dude, look at this guy. It's a little video, and it's like a goofy video Dylan did with his friends, and I watched it, and I was like, this is weirding me out because I don't remember filming this. That's how close to what he looks like to me that just weirded me out big time. So he's gonna play it. Just in my head, most probable post-apocalyptic movie. I'm like doing 1,000 scenarios in my head. I think things are going to be closer to Mad Max than they are to Star Trek. I mean, even Star Trek still had like their Mad Max years in their lore, but I think it's going to get really, really bad. The supply chain is going to break down entirely with sea level rise. You're going to have entire continents, people starving to death. It's going to be full-on Mad Max, desperately trying to like find fuel and food and water. I think it's going to be grim. That's closer to Mad Max than Star Trek. Rich Logic, when will MMTLP run? They had a little bit of a run today. Got up to $1.50 something after hours. But their S1 got returned with conditions they have to amend and then refile. And George, I guess, came out on Friday and talked about that and said that, it's simple little fixes. We just do this little amending here and then we refile again. And then we wait to see when that they're allowed to go private. Our shadow dude. With the happy coworkers, mine were ecstatic when I told them we were going to have higher wheat and rice prices with the war in Ukraine and drought in China on top of housing market crash, depression. Oh, they were just like, oh my God, tell me more. What do I think about PRTY? Sorry, Rich, I don't know anything about PRTY, so I have no opinions to offer. Nicholas Alvarez, missed a few shows because I've been busy. What's your opinion on Ape? A lot of GME YouTubers see it as a scam for Adam Aaron. I think a lot of the people have been burned by Adam Aaron, myself included. And I am trying to ignore that voice in my head that says Adam Aaron is going to sell 1 billion Ape shares, crash the price on it. He'll save his company but destroy all of his investors in the process. I'm trying to put that voice out of my head, and I'm trying to believe with all my heart that Adam Aaron is going to wait until at least January 2023 before he sells any more Ape shares. He's just going to hold off and let this sucker run its course and squeeze this weird equity share that he produced. There's still like 25% of me that's like saying, shut up, you idiot, you trusting moron. Adam Aaron's going to screw you. But I'm trying to just focus on the other little devil on my shoulder saying, no, it's fine. Just, all you have to do is just hold and wait. And it's all going to work out. And so I've got them competing, but I'm just choosing to listen to this shoulder rather than this shoulder. And a lot of the GME guys just don't trust Adam Aaron at all. They see him as one of the insiders that, that good old boys network. Dallas B, the jellyfish are doing well because their natural predators are probably choking on plastic. That's true. Plastic bag does look like a jellyfish, doesn't it? Daphne, ketamine works great for trauma and PTSD. It does. There's been some fantastic work with people who, like, one of the problems with people who are, having a manic or depressive episode is the regular antipsychotics they might take or mood enhancers or whatever take days for it to like start getting through their system and for them to level out. And they discovered with ketamine, you can give people a shot of ketamine and immediately they snap back to reality. So they could be absolutely facing, suicidal thoughts like I'm going to kill myself or I'm going to kill others or whatever. And you give them an injection of ketamine and they're like, holy crap, why was I listening to my brain? Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry that I was behaving that way. I did not mean it. I was not myself. And it can snap them back to themselves in an incredibly quick rate. So it has some real great results so far, and people are suffering like immediate mental health crises. It's just boom, ketamine. They're like, oh shit, I'm sorry. I should probably take my meds now. And then they're pretty good. Dallas B. Houston, what's your favorite type of knife? Bowie, Kikuri, or other? Oh man, Gurkha, all the way. Nepalese Gurkha knife. Can chop down a tree with these suckers. Yeah, man. These are the knives that the Gurkhas carry, who are just like the most badass fucking monster warriors in the entire world. Yeah. So Gurkha. You don't want to screw with a Gurkha at all, ever. Have you guys seen the 14 Peaks? It's a documentary, I think, on Netflix about a Gurkha who joined the SAS and then retired and decided to climb all 14 8,000 meter peaks in one season. And it's pretty cool. I mean, it shows you just what a machine monster these Gurkha dudes are. They are just, I mean, they're only like this tall, but holy crap, are they just incredible dudes. Yeah, it just came out a little bit ago on, I think it's Netflix. Or maybe I watched it. It was pretty cool. And Bainbridge Islander Garrett Madison is in it. He's one of the top tour guides in the entire world. And he was in a couple of spots. He was at Everest, I think, and at K2 when they were doing their peaks. And like these dudes did 3 8,000 meter peaks in one day. They did Everest and 2 others that were near there like one day. Whoa, that's crazy. Yeah. Watch people die up in the mountains, save some people in the mountains, so on. Yeah, Gurkha's my favorite knife. Diaz, Madoff effect. Investors want all their money at the same time. Yep. That's how you recognize a Ponzi scheme. Is when they're like, you know what? Give me my money back. And they go, oh, we don't have your money. It's all gone. Which is what happened with Madoff. Dope 392 Houston, where are you going to put your millions after we squeeze? Probably immediately into puts. Ride both sides of that wave, baby. Yeah, probably immediately. Because, think about, you get $1 kajillion off of this thing that's at the absolute peak. And you know that when this thing settles out and all the dust settles, it's going to go back to being a $10, $20 stock, whatever, for these various plays. So you get the most expensive, the highest put you can, which at the time might be thousands of dollars away, so it's probably pennies. And you just buy so many millions of those puts with all your money, and then the price goes back down post MOAS, and you just made all of this back. And you got more cash. Now at this point, the entire blue chips in the market are just in the toilet. Probably a little further to go. So probably dump it back into blue chips, into viable blue chips, into dividend stocks, and into like Vanguard index funds, and maybe diversify into gold. So because the gold's going to be that stable force while everything else is going, oh fuck, I'm dying. Gold's just going to go, because that's what it does. And China, India, and Russia have a real appetite for gold right now. And so the price, I think, is really gonna climb once the economy really goes in the dumpster. And so, yeah, that's probably immediately where it's gonna go. And then hopefully it's at a point that I can just turn my brain off and live off of dividends or annuities or whatever at that point. And Monkey Butt and I can go hang out on the beach. That's the dream. Now, Daphne asks, Houston, is it worth buying shares at the current price of BBBY for this gamma squeeze if you're not doing options, in your opinion? I mean, yeah. Right now it's $13. It can easily go to $30 again, like it did before. I think this time around, depending on the news on Wednesday, I think it might just shoot right past $30. That's what I'm hoping for. You know, get the price to $50 to $100, and all those options you can do, you know, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on. But if you're buying shares, you can 2 to 3x it. I think in this run, that's what I'm counting on with my options anyway. Is that those shares will be worth 2, 3, 4 times what they are now. Forest Fire Houston, that was an excellent explanation of oversaturation of short hedge funds in America. You're spot on. Too many predators, not enough prey. Yeah, they all do the exact same plays, all at the same time, because there's just too many of them. And we know about the hedge funds. We have no idea what the family funds are doing. And the family funds have $7-8 trillion tied up into these plays, and they're probably all jumping in doing exactly the same thing. There's too many predators, not enough prey. And what we have to do is we've got to cull those suckers, because it's too easy to be a short hedge fund. It needs to be harder. You need to eliminate dark pools, eliminate payment for order flow, eliminate naked selling, and probably eliminate high frequency trading as well. So get rid of those 4 things, make the market more egalitarian across the board so that market makers and hedge funds don't have superpowers a regular investor doesn't have, and watch them have to slow down the pace of their plays, giving other people a chance to, you know, have that slow and steady growth that a good economy needs. Slow and steady is the way to go. You don't want ripping and crashing and ripping and crashing. That's the entire reason why we adopted the Keynesian model in the 1930s, was we wanted to end that boom bust cycle that like killed people. Like, you know, you have economic depressions every 10 years. People die from that, and your nation pays the price. So, you know, I'm hoping that we can get members of Congress to pay attention to what the problems actually are. We can end congressional trading as well. So people, if you're in elected office and you and your family members do not get to trade stocks, if anything, blind trust at most. But you can't be actively trading stocks while sitting in these closed door committee hearings. We're learning about who's going to get military contracts, and, you know, making laws that will affect certain industries and regulation, and, you know, playing basically insider trading on that stuff. We need to end the ability of these guys to trade. Arthur, correct me if I'm wrong, BBBY options chain isn't as packed as it was in the last run. Yeah, the last run was the monthlies. So August 19th was the monthlies you could buy 6 months ahead of time. So those are always the ones that have the most. But what we do have is we have a whole bunch of shares that are coming due on T13 due date on Friday. And that is because the price rocketed 13 trading days ago from this coming Friday, and while the stock was on the thresholds list. And the thresholds list shortens that clearing time, FTD time, down significantly, and it's a do or die when the stock is on that thresholds list. This is what caused GameStop to friggin' rocket in January of that year. 13 trading days before, this GameStop entered the thresholds list, and 13 days later, $480 a share. So Bed Bath & Beyond might have a beautiful correlation between whatever news they do on Friday, the thresholds list, and what's left of the options chain. So I'm hoping we get a big pop Friday, a very solid short trading week next week with Labor Day in there, and then my options can finally go, you're welcome. Frozen State Productions had a birthday. I'm writing a space script for an 8-year-old. What resources should I research for a realistic show? This way I can stop asking space questions every other week. Oh, man. Easy to digest. Bad Astronomy is a good book. That probably came out about 20 years ago. And it debunks a whole bunch of like weird misconceptions about space that people kind of grew up with. They do a good job in that book. And I hope there's an updated version. Bad Astronomy. Who wrote Bad Astronomy? White cover, red lettering, if I remember correctly. Yeah, this is it. Go there. Don't give me stupid gray. By Philip C. Plait. So this guy, this book. That's a good one. And like it'll help you flush out like what things you shouldn't do in space for your sci-fi stuff. They do tackle quite a bit of sci-fi things, and they also tackle like conspiracy theories like the moon landing hoax and so on. It's a good read. That came out in 2002, so 20 years ago. That's when I read it. Maybe 2003 is when I read it. Another good resource, the asterank.com is a pretty cool resource. It'll show you like what's valuable in asteroids. We've been there before. Asterank.com. This is planetary resources page. Come on. It's asteroid database for mining. So you can like look at different known asteroids out there. It'll tell you like how far away they are, how large they are, what the value of the precious metals inside could be worth. Some of these things, 669 million, 6 billion. Some of them are in the trillions. 80 trillion for KU2. 25 trillion for 1999 KV4. Some very, 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 very valuable. Some of them are in quadrillions. Like, you find Psyche 3 here. I think it's like $60 quadrillion. But, for the most part, those Peter Weir books, they do a pretty good job on the science portion of it. When he wrote The Martian, he did not realize that there was so much percolate in the Martian soil. So I bet if he knew that then, because it got published, and then like 2 months later, we discovered that the Martian soil was just completely poisonous. And so you couldn't grow potatoes in it. But had he known that, he probably would have put that science in there, figured out some way to talk about using anaerobic bacteria to neutralize the perchlorates, turn them into chlorides, and so on. But yeah, those books do a pretty good job kind of explaining minerals in space. The Expanse series, what's the original name of those books? They do a really good job on the science of space mining and like the realities of what it's like to grow up in low gravity or zero gravity environments. What's the name of that series? The Expanse was made out of. Yeah, kind of me with that quote that I'm supposed to be thinking of right now. Okay. Back to Big Houston. Okay, there's the meow meow ones. Dr. Spurgeon Sturgeon. No, don't get him started on baseball. Too late, man. I got started. Dr. Spurgeon Sturgeon. I thought of a dumb question because I'm getting tired of stock stuff. What's your favorite metal band and why is it Gojira? I like them. But favorite metal band? I really like Danzig. I like blues metal a lot. Who do I listen to the most? There's a electronic, I don't know what to call them, black new wave band called Perturbator that just is thunderous, and I just could listen to their just pounding all day long. Oakley Dokley is a pretty rad concept metal band. They're the Ned Flanders metal band. They're pretty funny and they shred. I'll say it, Death Clock fucking rules. I do like a lot more like to the leather metal side, you know, Diamond Head, Judas Priest, Iron Maiden. The Sword does a good job as sort of like a nouveau rekindling of that genre. Monomarth. I'm going death metal like a Monomarth. Bathory. I don't know. I'm having a hard time coming up with names today. It's probably because it's late. Yeah. Boris, Japanese band. They started out as a drone metal band. I was never really a big fan of drone metal, but I think Boris, they discovered drone metal. There was the band out of Seattle called Earth that kind of, Boris was like, oh my god, these guys are amazing. And they made a whole bunch of like sludgy drone metal to that. But then their later albums, they discovered like other heavy music, and so it just took off. So they started out as drone metal, and then they became this just fantastic heavy metal band in general that has more zip-zop melody and pace to it. I never really got into drone metal. I tried. I was like, oh, I'll try to listen to the sludgy stuff, and it's just, I don't know. I need like double kick drums more than just like gung 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 do do. It's just a little too slow for me. Gab's diary agrees from your baseball is boring, worse than cricket. I don't understand how cricket's played at all. I watch and I just don't know what's going on. It lasts for like 25 hours. I don't know how they do that. Michael, Harry Houston, Tom Glavine, and Bo Jackson are considered two-sport athletes. What would you consider your second sport? Swimming. I swam in college too. I started competitive swimming late in life. Actually, when I was 19. I always swam. I was a beach lifeguard and stuff. But when I got my bike accident, and then while recovering and bouncing around community college, I was also doing tech work and making just a ridiculous amount of money when I was 18, 19 years old. And then .com bubble hit. All tech work dried up. Physically, I was better. I was back to like getting in shape for baseball. And I went to, my little sister was like 9 years old at the time. And I went to one of her swim meets, and her coach was like, I like your build. I could turn you into a 50 free champion in 6 months. And I was like, well, shit, I had nothing else going on. So I started swimming with like all these 10-year-olds, going to my little sister's swim practices for like 6 months. And before long, I was posting, all American times in the 50 free. So I went to Lewis and Clark. The intention was that I was going to swim at Lewis and Clark and play baseball there, but I ended up transferring out. Yeah, I was a pretty decent 50 free swimmer. We had an Olympian that was a couple years behind me, Emily Silver, who was like 10th in the world in the 50 free. She was an alternate for the 2008 Olympics and won a silver medal in the women's 4x50. I can honestly say this. In a drag race, one pool length, I was faster than Emily Silver. My flip turn was god-awful, and that was a crapshoot. And so my flip turn would be so bad, she would end up beating me to the other end many times. But if I happen to have a good flip turn, I could swim a 50 free faster than Emily Silver, who went to the Olympics. So, yeah. And I swam Masters for a while. But the times the pool I could make it to the pool were always so weird. And not necessarily like when they were able to like do, have a coach there and make me do things. Because if coach isn't there, I don't do shit. I need someone to be like, you're going to do 10 100s on the 2 minute 10 seconds. Like, okay, I'll do that. And then I need them to like tell me to do other things. Okay, you're going to do 10 lengths of butterfly style on the 10 minutes or whatever, and I'll do that. I wish my knees were stronger, and I would have loved to have been like a freestyle skier, but I'm tall and gangly, and I'm pretty sure my legs would explode if I had ever attempted to do like big mountain freestyle stuff. Got the Euros who are like, baseball sucks, and then people jumping in, oh, baseball's awesome. Gab went to Mariners game, sweet, while he's in New York. Alright. Guys there, the big screens tell people when to cheer and clap. The beer is watered down. Very strange. Oh, American stadiums, you're gonna get ripped off for any food, drink, anything. So Americans are really adept at sneaking in drinks to games. They got things called like the beer belly or beer binoculars. I remember a friend of mine has a 21st birthday, so I bought her like a giant bottle of I think it was Fat Bastard Ale, and we ended up buying a tube of popcorn outside, emptied it out, stuck the beer bottle in, covered it back up with popcorn, and we were able to sneak our beer into the game. Because, you know, one beer is $12, and no one's going to pay that for a beer unless they're already super drunk or rich. Yeah. Stadium prices are absolutely insane. Alright. Oh crap, it's 11:41 already. I am so far behind. Alright, guitar stuff, new ski spot. Okay. 30 latitudes. Where are we here? Google Earth. Google Earth. Shaboom. And I gotta delete you out of the way so it works. Where are we going? There we go. Flying. Australia? Looks like we got some snowfall here. How high up are we? We're 6,000 feet. Looks like Perisher Valley. Looks like it is a ski place, right? That a run right there? Some of that famous Australian skiing. Yeah, we got ourselves one whole chairlift. Fantastic. Is there more? Is there a chairlift anywhere? Nope. They got one chairlift. Looks like a high-speed lift, though. So, you know, moving those Australians pretty quickly up there. They got themselves... They don't have... Problem is, Australia doesn't have very big mountains. It's like as big as it gets. 6,000 feet, so you got about 1,000 feet of vertical. What is the highest point in Australia? Highest point in Australia. Mount Kosciuszko. 7,000 feet tall. So New South Wales. Yeah, so that's not very tall at all. Especially for, you know, they don't have very high latitudes, so it doesn't get super cold. But, you know, 7,000 feet here in Seattle, that's decent for a ski resort. Australia is a higher latitude, though. So where's Mount Kosciuszko? Let's put that in here. Control V. Oh, just a little bit south. Alright, so it's in a national park, so I doubt that there's skiing there. But here we are. 7,282 feet. No ski resorts to be seen, but that's the highest point in that entire continent. Pretty weak sauce. That's why everyone goes to New Zealand. Because New Zealand's got real mountains. Look at it. They have glaciers down there, too. Look at these guys. They have glaciers. They have real mountains. Some of these suckers are quite tall. Come on. Give me some freaking pixels, dude. Alright, pixels aren't coming out. What's going on? Oh, I'm getting the warning that my video is not smooth, and it's the roommate downloading video games onto his Xbox again. It's like that might be what's happening. Is he comes home from work and he downloads like entire terabyte video games. Guitar stuff that I miss you doing, Diego Garcia. Yes, you miss me sending me Diego Garcia again. West Wind Melissa Lee has been reprogrammed from the sounds of her recent bits about meme stocks. She probably got a talking to from the higher ups saying, we don't talk about that. You are a Comcast company, and you were going to talk about what we want you to talk about. Okay. You are doing all tropical stuff today there, guitar stuff. I don't know where we are. We're in South America? Pixels are not coming. On a volcano? Which volcano? Tungurahua? Where are we? Are we in Ecuador? Yeah, Ecuador. Okay. I mean, I don't know particularly anything about the specific volcano in Ecuador. I'm sure this will tell us. Let's read Wikipedia together and discover about this particular GNU operating system preamble. What is this? This is not operating system. No. I want Tungurahua. Oh. Alright, there we go. Full article. Clicked the wrong button, that's why. So article is updated. This stuff's happened, hasn't been updated since 2020. Okay. Throat of Fire. Stratovolcano. Pretty tall, 16,000 feet. Volcanic activity started August 1999, is ongoing as of 2013, so it has not been several major eruptions starting February 2014, so it's been erupting. It's not been updated since then, though. It's last updated 2014, but that's nice Strombolis there. Look at that sucker. So most volcanoes like this, they do pyroclastic eruptions, but every once in a while you get a phase where you have silic pore lava and you can have these Strombolis happen. A very viscous, very hot basalt lava coming out, and they are cool when they do it. Go back this way. There we go. There's another Stromboli. The Strombolis were named after the spatter form on Mount Etna. So a lot of the volcanic terms we use for volcanoes come from like Italian or the Hawaiian language. And that's like the universal language for volcanoes is from either of those two. And there's a pyroclastic eruption. There's a huge ash cloud, probably water-rich, silica-rich, not so viscous, but there is still some magma shooting out of there. They can be seen. That's pretty bitchin'. Now, this sucker's been pretty much erupting for the last 20 years or so. Cool. I dig it. When I go to Ecuador with my friend Ricardo, and we do our Ecuador TV show, we'll go visit there. Yeah. Let's do it. Big Houston. All right. Breaks. Has anyone transferred Ape into ComputerShare? I saw earlier that ComputerShare will not let you buy Ape. That they basically can't find any real shares available, and they just won't let you buy from their system. That's what someone was sending me. They had a talk with their ComputerShare rep online. And like, why can't I buy it? Like, we just can't. Well, why can't I? Because you can't. That's kind of what they're getting. Oh crap! I reset and I didn't highlight Well, maybe I did have those highlighted. Go back to where it was. What was I? There it was. Okay. All right. West Wind, Houston, you remind me of a young Wade Davis, world famous ethnobotanist and beautiful writer. Look him up. Some say Indiana Jones based on him. I will. He's got a great first name. Wade Davis. I'll check him out. Okay, did that part. Stevie J. Reagan made them launch Challenger and traumatized the culture, and holy crap, that's the most brainwashed thing I've ever heard. Stevie J. That's literally what happened. The NASA engineers said, don't launch. These O-rings are not safe. We have to replace them. And then a call from the White House said, launch it anyway. That's literally what happened. And a bunch of people died. The engineers specifically said these O-rings need to be replaced. They're going to leak fuel and it's going to explode. And the White House said, no, launch. So that's Stevie J. That's what happened. Just, I don't know how else to tell you. When they went through the fact findings on it, they found that there had been people saying, don't do this launch until we replace these O-rings. And then they did the launch anyway. Lots of alarm bells were going off, and they did it. Okay. Children of Men. Children of Men was an amazing movie. Holy smokes. That movie blew me away. That's pretty likely. Fertility rates are dropping significantly. Like 20% of people who got COVID can no longer produce sperm. So, that's one way to drop the numbers. Plus, people aren't having kids as much anyway because they can't afford them. So, and they're like, oh, the future's so bleak, I'm not going to have any. So we may dwindle. China's going to dwindle big time. And by 2050, China's population is expected to be 600 million. It's basically half of what it is now in the next 30 years. Japan's population is shrinking. The United States, the only reason we've got a positive population growth is that we take in so many immigrants. But the people who are born here don't have replacement numbers of kids. We need immigrants coming in. A lot of European countries, they calculated that like Italy, to maintain Italy's population, they need 300,000 immigrants a year. But you've got a whole bunch of xenophobic, far-right political parties like, no, we can't have any foreigners in here. And so they put up barriers to letting those people in, and then the population shrinks, and the towns disappear, and the towns panic and offer homes for €1 each. This is just trying to get anybody to move there. Which is, if you guys want a house, you can move to Sicily, buy an entire house for €1, and you can be in a cool medieval village. You just have to promise to fix it up, though. That's the only thing. So, we can be ugly Americans all together in some medieval Sicilian village. That'd be fun. You get your 270 days of sunshine a year and live the la vida dolce and just chill out. Sip your espresso for $1, eat your pizza slice for €1, and live on the cheap. Italy's amazingly cheap for a lot of things. J. King, Houston, this guy, thanks for late night. I'm late. Well, it's okay. I've just got your thing 40 minutes late, so. Kind of Sebastian Gurka. J. King Houston, to get the read article by Pete Petit. It's a great read. I don't necessarily. I may have. I got sent a lot of stuff to read today. Send it to me. Hopefully, I may have read it. I can't remember who authored everything I read today. William Morgan kept me very busy with things to read today. Well, here's William Morgan with the headlines. William Morgan, August 30th, 2022. China's real estate developer Country Garden sees 96% interim profit slump. That's a big profit slump. 96%. That basically means all our money's gone. We are nothing but losses now. Griffin's mom is here. Thank you for loving my show. Just some dude in a crazy shirt talking to a wall, and this dog doesn't understand what the hell is going on. William Morgan, August 30th, 2022. Home buyers are taking huge losses, 60% drop in buyers. Yeah. There was a Twitter thread, I think, William, a couple people sent it to me. I retweeted it talking about the comparisons between now and 2008. And essentially, like, things are falling off a cliff faster than 2008, but it's not directly tied to adjustable rate mortgages so much as it's tied to inflation and an overall credit crunch. Mortgage defaults creeping up. 18,000 cars a day are being repoed right now. 18,000. I didn't know there was 18,000 repoers in the U.S. 18,000 cars a day in the United States are being repoed, and that number's going up. I mean, heavens to bitsies. You go to a dealership, you buy a car that 10 years ago sold for $30,000 for $100,000. You're now tied into an 8-year loan. By year 3, you're underwater on it, still paying $1,400 a month. You could have bought a Ferrari, and instead you've bought an F-150. You damn sure all these people are going to get repoed. If you're paying a mortgage for a car, that is not a healthy society. It's not. We need to streamline the supply chain pretty darn quick. And we had it streamlined for a long time because these companies used to have everything built in one place, all in Detroit. They built everything there, from the internal components to the external components to electronics to everything. It was all built in one place. And then went, oh, maybe we should outsource our window wiper motors to China, and our window wiper blades to Japan, and our turn signals to a factory in Mexico. And then we'll build the bodies in Tennessee, but we'll do the engine components in Tijuana or whatever. And all of a sudden, you have to count on all this stuff arriving at the exact same time so you can put these cars together so you can save on storage and not have any downtime, etc. And all it takes is one little component to go wrong. All of Nissan during the pandemic had to shut down because the factory that made their wiper blade motors was in Wuhan. And they couldn't get wiper blade motors from anywhere else. And you can't sell a car without wiper blades because it's against the law in every nation in the world. Because it rains everywhere, you need wiper blades. So now that they've got these incredibly huge supply chains, all it takes is one little fuck up, and it can shut down the ability to make any of these cars, such as no semiconductors. If the average car needs 2,000 semiconductors and you can't get any of them, you can build every component in that car and it won't ever turn on or do anything you want. So, the supply chain is so big and so extensive that now we have one little failure in it, and it's causing, a supply and demand issue at the consumer level because they need cars and no one can produce them, so the price of what's left goes because that's what you can do. And Honda just said they're slowing down production by 40% because they can't get all the parts they need. We are definitely in a supply chain crisis still. Diaz, the Fed is holding $2 trillion plus in mortgage-backed securities. Yep. People were talking about this weekend that there was an inability to do margin calls due to a rule that was set up in 2020 from COVID that's supposed to expire on Thursday. I don't think that was about annual margin calls. I think that had to do with margin calls involving mortgage-backed securities. Because we've had margin calls, like Archegos got margin called. That happens. But I think it had specifically meant to do with mortgage-backed securities. So all of a sudden, all these guys, the mortgage-backed securities have fallen off a cliff too. There are a lot of people who have mortgage-backed securities as like their collateral for other plays. They might be screwed come Thursday. Because mortgage-backed securities aren't worth anything. The commercial mortgage-backed securities aren't worth anything. The residential ones aren't worth anything. It's a downward spiral, man. Good answer, Death Clock. Death Clock is amazing. Brendan Smalls is absolutely incredible. Okay, Frozen State Productions. Thanks, Houston, for the space info. We have lots of blue and green screen for the no gravity scenes. Perfect. Hang a little 8-year-old and dangle them around a room. Look fantastic. Let's allow me to catch up here at the announced midnight. I got nothing left in me. If Houston was a wine, what kind of wine would it be? What the hell is pickleball? Pickleball, I live in the community where pickleball was invented. Pickleball was invented on Bainbridge Island. Let's see if I can find the actual original pickleball courts out by Battle Point. It was started, there was a member of the House of Representatives, I can't remember his name right now off my head. He and his family invented it on their concrete basketball court here on Bainbridge in like 1961 or something. Oh crap, it's out here somewhere. Where are you? Is it Arrow Point or Manzanita? I think it's somewhere in here. Ah shit, I'm going to go to the Wikipedia page. First pickleball court. Pleasant Beach. I was the wrong end of the island. Okay. So Pleasant Beach. There we go. Lytle Beach. Alright, South End. That's a really nice beach, actually. So, first pickleball court. Let me... Where is... Give me layers. I can find it on Google Earth here. Okay. Alright. Cool. Here we go. Wrong end of the island. I thought it was Battle Point, but it was... No, it's down here. Lytle Beach. Down here. First pickleball court. Give me pixels, you son of a bitch. $1965. There it is. Right here. The first pickleball court ever was built right there. It is... You use a wood paddle and a plastic wiffle ball, and you're on basically a badminton-sized court with a tennis court high net. And it's gotten really popular in years. Like, I was driving through Utah, and there's like an entire pickleball center, indoor pickleball center. As a kid growing up on the island, we played pickleball in all of our PE classes constantly because it was like Bainbridge thing. But yeah, first pickleball court right here. And Lytle Beach is a nice, lovely beach. It's a really great south-facing sandy beach. There's a pickleball court. There's another one right there. That's not a tennis court. That's a pickleball court. Built right in there. So, we have ourselves pickleball happening on the beach. Is that another one? Yeah, there's another one. Pickleball courts everywhere. Everyone's got their pickleball courts. Like in our gyms, we had pickleball lines set up too. So, there you go. Got me on a pickleball tangent this time around. Good job. Lost on Island, pickleball is table tennis without table and tennis without running. True. I think they're arguing about what wine I am. Houston, are you going to Burning Man this year? No. Burning Man is not my speed. If I wanted to go hang out in the desert with a bunch of insufferable people, I'd be at Burning Man. My mom lives in a very popular retirement community here in Florida, and they advertise naked pickleball. Fantastic. I don't think I'd want to get hit with one of those wiffle balls at full speed. That would sting. James Cam, Houston predictions for Bed Bath & Beyond Wednesday. Apologies, just joined. Green. I think trying to muster my predictions. I think they'll announce a new CEO. They'll announce some sort of partnership with Ryan Cohen and or Firefly and or G-America. Dragonfly or G-America. Having to do with Bye Bye Baby and is either a spin-off or something, joint venture, something like that. And it will also involve a huge cash infusion from something associated with Ryan Cohen that will go towards Bed Bath & Beyond, and a high percentage chance of Bed Bath & Beyond shares having a spin-off share of Bye Bye Baby for shareholders. That's kind of in the realm of what I think the announcement's going to be on Wednesday. And all those things means bye. And plus Friday we got the T13s for the threshold list coming up. So green, man. Green. We don't want to talk about Burning Man. Well, there's Lost on Island talking about pickleballs created on Bainbridge in 1965. There we go. Jumping in there with the facts, setting everybody straight. Pickleball was invented here. It is a Bainbridge Island thing, baby. Google Earth has left chat. Okay. All right. All right. Well, scroll down here at the end. I'm going to do like one or two more and then turn in for the night. Tomorrow will be a daytime show, so like 12 hours, 13 hours. We'll do a daytime show. Charity Tuesday. So I hope we've got a nice big green day so everyone feels really charitable and we can help folks that have suffered through these flash floods in Kentucky. Yeah. All right. So. Oh, and Red just showed up just as I'm leaving. Sorry. Eric D. Houston, have you seen Woodstock 99 Netflix? I have not. I've read plenty of articles about what a shit show that was and how just horrible and rapey and poorly put together. And yeah, it was just bad. I'm glad I didn't go. I was working anyway. I couldn't go. Okay. That it? That we got? That we got, Monkey Butt? You want to say goodbye to everyone? Do you? You want to say goodbye? You just want to be a bump on the log. He's now upset that I just woke you up with a good neck scratch. All right. That's it for us. Big Dog's down the corner. He says goodbye as well. I'll see you folks tomorrow in 13 hours-ish. 13 and a half hours. Probably around 1:30 Pacific time. We'll do our charity show and have a great time. So,